Welcome back to the Coolfigurez channel. I'm your host, Jesse the Bat Madrigal, aka the Buff Collector. The information on this channel is intended for all collectors and not children. And today we are going to be taking a look at the Coolfigurez top 10 figures of 2022. If you do enjoy this video, please remember to give it a like, share, comment, and subscribe. Happy New Year's, everybody, and I hope you're all having a great start to your year. And first and foremost, thank you so much to each and every single one of you for all the amazing, great support in 2022. I really do appreciate every like, comment, and view. And with that being said, here's to a great 2023. So I do want to preference this video by saying, like much with all the other YouTubers top 10 videos, this list is very subjective to me. So every figure you will see on this list I did purchase with my own money. I was not gifted any of them. And another thing is, you will not see any Marvel Legends. Not because they're bad figures, but because I personally just do not collect them. I don't have the time, the space, or the money for them, so I just kind of watch from afar. They do put out some phenomenal figures. I just happen not to collect them, and so that's why you will not be seeing any Marvel Legends figures on this list. So if that happens to be one of your favorite lines, I do apologize for that. But even one of my favorite lines, the DC Multiverse by McFarlane Toys, did not make this list either. A lot of them came so close, but at the end, they just fell short. And you're probably thinking, well, you have Bane right here. Well, yes, I do. But that is because we are going to be getting started with some honorable mentions. Now, I did not pull every single one of them out of my collection because, well, I'll be honest with you guys, I'm lazy and I didn't feel like destroying a lot of my collection for a quick little look at. And so I'll probably just be posting some photos of the figures that I'm talking about. But yeah, let's go ahead and get started with the first honorable mention, and that being the McFarlane Toys Mega Figure Bane. Now, it's been a while since we've had a great Bane figure, and this one came so close to making my list. In fact, it was on my list until I remembered that another figure came out this year, and I quickly dropped this guy to an honorable mention. Like I said, a lot of the DC Multiverse figures came so close, but just fell short because of a lot of little things. This one being lack of paint. You know, I really feel like McFarlane could have gone above and beyond with this one if they just included a little neon paint on his veins. You know, there's also the Titan Joker that almost made the list. However, he just fell short because, well, like I said, there were other figures that I remembered that came out, and I thought to myself, well, those were a little better than this guy. Another mega figure from the McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse line that almost made the list was the Mega Figure Killer Croc. If you can't tell, I really did enjoy this year's offerings from the McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse Mega Figure list. However, with the Killer Croc, the thing that really knocked it off the list for me personally was the horrible articulation in the toes. It's just so loose, so much so it's very hard and difficult to get him to stand, and so I went ahead and had to go ahead and pull him from the list. Another figure that almost made the top 10 list is the Mafex Jumpsuit Hush Batman. This was my second dipping into the Mafex line, and it came really close to making my list. However, towards the end of last year, I made a real big push into the Mafex Batman line, and so you'll be seeing something else on the list. And the last two things that I do want to mention for honorable mentions are, of course, Mezco Toys. The first one being the brand new Nosferatu Symphony of Horror figure, which was released on January 12th, so we are quickly approaching the 1-year anniversary of that figure. I really am curious as to what Mezco will be releasing on 1/12th day this year. Now, the last honorable mention on my list is, of course, the Mezco Toys Classic Batman and Two-Face 2-pack. They were on my list for a while, once again, up until I remembered that, well, another figure came out this year that I really liked, and I figured, well, these are a 2-pack. So I thought to myself, it's a little bit of a cheat if I had a 2-pack in a single slot, so I went ahead and bumped it to an honorable mention. You know, when it came out, a lot of people didn't really like it and stuff. I was all in from the start. A classic comic style Batman with a classic comic book style Two-Face. Say no more. But with that being said, guys, why don't we go ahead and jump on into my top 10 figure list. Now, this will be arranged in order from 10 to 1. It was really difficult to kind of order them by numbers. However, it had to be done. And so, starting off with number 10. Kicking off our list at number 10, we have the Star Wars Black Series 2003 Clone Wars ARC Trooper. This figure blew me away. The fact that Hasbro really didn't use too much reuse from the previous ARC Trooper release, but it was mainly new pieces and parts. And I was really surprised at the fact that they gave us so many accessories with this guy, you know, considering that most of the time Black Series figures come very, very light on accessories and sometimes don't even come with accessories, especially for the price point. So this guy definitely blew me away. Clone Troopers are my absolute favorite part of Star Wars, and this was just a phenomenal representation of an ARC Trooper. So yeah, he definitely takes the number 10 spot. Moving on to number 9 on the list, and it is the NECA Toys Mummy Michelangelo. When they first introduced this line, I was super excited to see what they were going to do with Mikey, my personal favorite turtle, who, I'll be honest guys, spoiler alert, this isn't the only slot that Mikey takes up on the list, but we'll go ahead and get into that when we get to that point. But out of the 3 that we've gone so far, well, I guess we've gotten 4, right? We have Leo, Raph, Mikey, Splinter, and April. However, I personally only have the 3 turtles, and out of the 3 turtles, this one is by far the best one that NECA has done. Donatello looks really cool, but he isn't coming out till about March 2023, so we'll have to see. But I'm thinking that Mikey's still gonna hold that spot for me. He was just done so phenomenally well. I love the use of Egyptian symbols in his nunchucks, and of course that alternate head which he is currently utilizing right now, which is supposed to be like kind of an homage to the 1990s deteriorating costume head. And yeah, this guy is just absolutely phenomenal. I absolutely love him. All the detailing in his shell as well, the scarab, the hieroglyphs, all of that just makes this for a phenomenal figure. Moving on to number 8 on my list, and it is the Hasbro Toys Power Rangers Lightning Collection Mighty Morphin Green Shredder Ranger. This guy absolutely blew my mind, and honestly, it could have been higher up on the list had Hasbro just included some wiring in the cape. However, the sculpt is just absolutely phenomenal. The articulation, absolutely phenomenal. So this guy had to make my list. And of course, unfortunately, we did lose the original Green Ranger this past year. So, of course, this is a great tribute and homage to him. But besides that, it is just a phenomenal figure. I mean, it's Shredder mixed with the Green Ranger. It just looks super cool, and it had to make my list. So yeah, that's pretty much it. It's just a really cool looking figure. You know, and Hasbro doesn't really do soft goods, and so I was really surprised that they went ahead and gave him a soft goods cape, but I'm super happy that they did. Like I said, it could have been a little higher had they just added some wiring to the cape. Moving on to number 7, we have the NECA Toys Last Ronin Armored Ronin. I told you guys, Mummy Mikey was not going to be the only time we saw Michelangelo on this list, because here we have him in his Last Ronin getup. Of course, all armored up. I remember when we first got a glimpse of this guy over at Comic-Con, I thought to myself, man, it's going to be a good year to 2 year wait till we get this amazing figure in our hand. Little did I know that NECA was going to get it into our hands by the end of the year. This is a phenomenal representation of the Last Ronin. He looks exactly like he did in the comics. It basically looks like he came jumping out of the comic book pages. He does come with all sorts of great accessories, from a nunchuck to Leo's sword, Donnie's bow staff, Raph's sai, and of course the new baton that he uses. I don't really know what the name of that thing is, but despite being all armored up and everything, he does come with some great articulation, a removable hood, and of course 2 separate head sculpts. So yeah, this guy had to make my list because, well, The Last Ronin has to be one of my all-time favorite comic book storylines, and now having a plastic representation on my shelf, of course this had to make the list. So yeah guys, this guy definitely earned his spot on my top 10 list. Moving on to number 6, and it is the Hasbro Star Wars Black Series Death Watch Mandalorian. This figure absolutely blew me away, much like the ARC Trooper. The sculpting, the accessories, everything about this figure was just absolutely amazing. And in a year where I really decided to kind of stop collecting Black Series, I believe this is the final Black Series figure that I actually purchased brand new. All the other ones that I had gotten in later in the year were previous pre-orders from probably 2020, 2021 or early 2022. However, when this guy was announced, I knew I had to pick him up, and I of course had to army build him. So I did pick up 4, and this guy is absolutely phenomenal, from the unique main rifle that he comes with, the sidearm blaster, and of course just the articulation and the detail in this guy. I absolutely love him. Mandalorians and clone troopers are my absolute favorite part of Star Wars, so this guy really made me happy. And there were a few other figures that were released in the Black Series line for Mandalorians, like I believe, what was it? Was Bo-Katan last year or this year? I can't even remember. But Costco Reeves, I believe, was this year, if I'm not mistaken, and still, this guy blew them all out of the water. So yeah, he had to make the list since he just looks absolutely phenomenal. The proportions, the articulation, I mean, just look at him. He literally looks like a guy in a suit, just shrunken down to 1/12 scale. So once again, he definitely deserves a spot on this list. But like I said, I don't think I will be picking up any more Star Wars Black Series figures. I just don't see the value in them for the money and for what we get. And yeah, so this guy does hold that value because, like I said, he was a new sculpt. He had a new blaster, a new sidearm blaster. He really came out running and really blew my mind. So with that being said, let's move on to number 5. We are in the top 5, guys, and yes, we are kicking it off with the Mafex Armored Batman. When I first got back into collecting, I was really skeptical about Mafex, mainly because I heard they had a lot of QC issues, and I personally was not a big fan of the mixed media, the soft goods cape and the hard plastic, overall suits. However, with this figure, it makes sense since his armored suit is a hard metallic suit. A hard plastic for the body makes sense with a soft goods cape because obviously that part's not part of the armor. However, I did dive into other Batman figures in the Mafex line, like I said, mainly because of the McFarlane Toys line. You know, when he released the Dark Knight Returns Batman, it was such a great figure, but lacking in articulation that it really just made me want a really good representation of the Dark Knight Returns Batman on my shelf. And as good as the sculpt was on that figure, it just really made me want the Mafex one. And so when I dove into it, this guy came across my my feed on OfferUp, and I got a really good deal on him, and he is absolutely phenomenal, especially when you compare him to, say, the McFarlane Toys Armored Batman. This guy is so much more comic accurate, and the articulation on this guy is absolutely phenomenal. He can articulate so well considering he's an armored up Batman, yet you can still pose him up really well. And I know you can't really compare the two because of price points, but I can definitely compare articulation, and well, this guy definitely takes the cake. And on top of that, like I said, he does come with a soft good wired cape, which just looks phenomenal. Now, it isn't perfect. The cape does ride up on the collar, as you can see, which is not my favorite part of it. But besides that, this figure really is the perfect representation of armored Batman on my shelf. So with that being said, guys, let's move on to number 4 on my list, and it is the 1000 Toys PX exclusive Master Chief from Halo Infinite. This figure is absolutely phenomenal, guys. It actually made me stop collecting the Spartan Collection line because it is just the perfect representation of Master Chief. The thing that really sets it apart from all other Master Chief figures is that it is made of die-cast metal. So this really gives you a good representation of his suit and of Master Chief on your shelf. Now, he is a premium figure, so he's not as cheap as the Spartan Collection, but he is definitely well worth the investment. And on top of that, the articulation on this guy is absolutely phenomenal. I absolutely love the green, the way it looks, and like I said, the die-cast metal used for the armored suit. So just such an awesome representation of Master Chief all around. So with that being said, let's move on to number 3 on the list, and that is the Pocket World 1/12 scale The Mask figure. This is one of my all-time favorite movies, most likely in my top 10, and yet we have yet to see a real official release of this figure, or of this character I should say. And so when Pocket World announced this, you best believe I put my pre-order in right away. And when he came in, he blew me away, so much so that he is number 3 on my top 10 list of figures of 2022. The likeness to Jim Carrey in the mask, the accessories, the yellow suit, it really pops and stands on my shelf. And well, it is just one of the best figures and one of my favorite figures of 2022. Like I said, the accessories, the bright yellow suit just really makes him stand out on your shelf, and the likeness is just on point. I'm super happy to finally have a mask representation on my shelf. And yeah, he blew me away so much that he made it all the way to number 3. But with that being said, guys, we are into the top 2. Who will take the top spot for 2022? Well, we'll just have to wait and see, because first up, we of course have number 2, and it is the NECA Toys Back to the Future 1985 radiation suit Doc Brown. Now, funny enough, this was not the only release of this version of Doc Brown. Hot Toys did release their version this year as well, and I have to say, NECA beat them, guys. Yes, NECA beat them in terms of sculpt. Well, in terms of the head sculpt, at least, you know, the Hot Toys does come with the same accessories as the NECA one, and they do look phenomenal. But in terms of likeness to Christopher Lloyd, NECA hits it out of the park. So this is a rare instance when a 1/12 scale figure at I believe a $30 price point was actually better than a Hot Toys figure at a 200 plus price point. So yeah, guys, when this guy came out, I was super excited. This is the Doc Brown figure I have been waiting for since the announcement of this line, and I have to admit, it was worth the wait. Like I said, the accessories, the likeness to Christopher Lloyd, everything about this figure, absolutely phenomenal. So you know he was going to be high on my list. Back to the Future is in my top 5 favorite movies of all time. It will never leave that spot, and so this definitely had to make the list, and of course, pretty high up. But with that being said, guys, we have come all the way to number 1 now. So who will take the top spot of 2022? Well, let's go ahead and find out. So with that being said, let's move on to, and at number 1, guys, was there any question in your mind, especially considering that there wasn't a single Mezco Toys on this list up until now? My number 1 pick for 2022 is the brand new Mezco Pink Skulls Gig from Hell set. Now, I know this is technically a set, but they are all the same figure, so I'd say it counts as a single figure in my opinion. So that has been my list of the top 10 figures of 2022, guys. I am super excited to see what is in store for 2023. Let me know what your guys' top 10 favorite figures of 2022 were in the comments below. I would love to hear your guys' list as well. Did any of your favorite figures make my list? Let me know down in the comments below. Like I said at the beginning of the video, happy 2023, guys, and thank you so much for all the phenomenal support in 2022. I had a great time making all the content for you guys, and I look forward to making a bunch more for you guys this year. With that being said, guys, I've been your host, Jesse the Bat Madrigal, aka The Buff Collector. If you did enjoy this video, please remember to give it a like, share, comment, and subscribe. And as always, have a great fucking day.